What's cracking, audio fans? It's David here from Prime Audio Reviews, and today we're looking at the Master and Dynamic MW07 Plus TWS earphones. The MW07 Plus boasts class-leading battery life, 10mm beryllium dynamic drivers, and a whole bunch of features, which we'll get to in a minute. So welcome guys to another review. So here is the case. It's stainless steel case, highly polished, and as you can imagine, it is a super fingerprint magnet, but it does look dope. It also scratches quite easily, which is why I have the case, the fabric pouch here, which I keep it in there because it does get scratched quite easily. The case feels quite hefty. It's a solid little thing. On the back here, USB Type-C port. On the front, there are 3 LEDs. The one in the center shows the battery level for the charging case, and then the left and right one show the levels of the left and right earbuds respectively, which is pretty cool. Let's see if you probably won't see it in this light, but they're all green at the moment, fully charged. So it's a nice little case, but like I said, fingerprint magnet, and it does scratch easily. Now let's get inside. Boom. So here they are. By the way, the price of these is $299. So yes, they are priced. They do have a premium price. Now, without giving too much away, I will say I think you do get your money's worth in context of the current market, of course. But anyway, let's have a closer look at these. This is the tortoise shell color. There are 6 colorways available. If you want to see the full list of colors, check out the Master and Dynamic website or check out my written review. There's a link in the description. So here they are. They are a little bit on the large side, but for the most part, I found them very comfortable. You've got these wing tips or fit tips here that fit under the ridge of your ear and help keep them nice and secure in your ears when you're moving about. I can actually go running in these, no worries at all. They're a little bit on the heavier side for a TWS, but they're still not what I would consider to be heavy. Now this material here is actually acetate, which is quite interesting and rather unique. And I think it looks pretty dope. Okay, so looking at the control setup here, there is a volume rocker on the left earpiece, and it's a multifunction button as well. So a single tap on the front button will raise the volume, a single tap on the rear button lowers the volume. If you hold the front button down, it will enable the ambient listening mode, which uses the internal microphones to amplify the noises around you, to give you a bit more awareness of your surroundings. And if you do a long press on the rear button, that turns on the active noise cancelling mode. Yes, these do have active noise cancelling. I will get to that a bit later on. On the right earpiece is a single button, multi-function button, and this is for play, pause, or answer calls, cancel end calls. And if you hold it down, it will activate your telephone voice assistant. A double tap will skip a track, and a triple tap will go to the previous track in your playlist. So I really like this control setup. I do prefer the physical buttons over the touch sensitive ones because you don't get any accidental touches. There's a little bit of tactile feedback there, so you know when your press has been registered. And I just find it overall more satisfying to use than the touch sensitive variants. So in terms of comfort, I don't have a problem with these at all. I find them quite comfortable, although they do look a little bit awkward. They it's only this part that sits in your ears, and for me at least, I find them quite comfortable. There is one other interesting feature as well. These actually have a proximity sensor built in. So when you take the earbuds out of your ears, your music playback will automatically stop. And when you put them back in your ears, playback resumes. So that is a pretty cool feature as well. So that's about it in terms of physical build. In my opinion, I think they look very premium, they feel premium. And so now let's move on to how they sound. Well, you know what they say, you get what you pay for, and at least in the case of the MW07 Plus here, you do pay a premium, but you are getting a better sound quality than your average TWS earphone. To be fair, the majority of TWS that I've tested have been less than $100, but these are a definite step up from your average sort of budget orientated TWS. The cheaper ones, or just TWS in general, tend to have a quite bass heavy signature, and that often incorporates a sort of a muddy, overly thick and very warm mid-range that lacks clarity. And in addition, they usually have a sort of a rolled off, very relaxed treble. And that's not the case with the MW07 Plus. These do have a nice punchy bass, but it's quite reserved in level. So it's definitely not a bass head IEM. It's nice and punchy though, fairly quick. You do have the beryllium drivers, remember? And so the speed is there, the weight and impact punchiness is all there, but just the level is fairly conservative, which allows the mid-range to feel more open and spacious. The instrument separation is excellent, and the mid-range clarity is superb. It is much better than the other TWS earbuds that I've tried. So you get this nice clear vocals. Instruments sound fantastic as well. The tone and the timbre in the mid-range is also very natural and sounds great. So overall, no complaints at all about the mid-range. Moving on to the treble. These have a great treble. It is a little bit lively, but it's quite an even treble. It's not harsh, it's not peaky, but it does have a bit of energy and a bit of sparkle, and that's great. That lends more clarity to the mid-range and a sharper attack on percussion instruments. But the treble is nice and clear, it's crisp. Hi-hats and cymbals sound really natural and nice and clean with a natural sheen on them. It gives the overall sound signature a slightly brighter presentation. I do say brighter. It's not what I would call bright, but it's brighter than your average TWS earphone. And because of that sort of tame bass level, the spacious mid-range, and that nice crisp treble, the soundstage on these is also better than your average TWS as well. So they do have a nice open airy sound, which is a really nice change. Now getting back to some of the features, I'll start with the ambient mode, the ambient listening mode. It does work, but the effect is quite subtle. It's even less noticeable than the Shanling MTW100. So you can almost barely hear the difference when you've got the ambient listening mode on. But it's a nice feature to have. If you're out and about, you want to be aware of your surroundings, it's a good thing to have. In terms of the active noise cancelling, it does work, but the effect again is quite subtle. Now if you are considering these purely for the active noise cancelling, I would probably recommend you consider maybe something else like the Sony earbuds or the AirPod Pro. It does work, but the effect is very slight. I mean, if I've got the TV on in the background, I switch on ANC, the difference is barely noticeable at all. And things like the hum of a fan or an air conditioner doesn't really get cancelled that much by these. So it does help a little bit, but don't buy these for the ANC, basically is what I'm saying. Pairing is fantastic. The Bluetooth stability, in my experience, has been great. I've been using it with my smartphone, my Fio M6, my Shanling Q1, and as of yesterday, I've been testing out the Sony ZX300, which also work great. These do support aptX, by the way, which is very nice. Apple users, I think, are restricted to SBC codec, but on most devices, you do get aptX. Last and not least, I want to talk about the battery life, because it's quite simply class leading on these. The earbuds themselves will give you about 10 hours of playback. It will be a bit less if you've got the ANC turned on all the time, but just for straight music playback, you get around 10 hours. Even with the ANC on, you probably get 9 or a bit over 9 hours, which is just fantastic. In addition to that, you get another 3 full charges from the case here, so you get about 40 hours in total. And the goodness doesn't stop there either, my friends. The case itself supports fast charging, so just 15 minutes in the case will give you about a 50% charge, which is like good for 5 hours of music. And a full charge takes around 40 minutes, which is still above average. And that goes for the case itself as well. When you plug into USB-C, about 15 minutes charge will give you a 50% battery, and it takes 40 minutes to fully charge the case. So that is fantastic, which leads me to my conclusion. Would I recommend the MW07 Plus? Yes, absolutely I would. Not for the ANC, but for the battery life and the sound. The sound is really outstanding. That in itself, I think, justifies the price. Plus they look dope as well, as you can see. Yes, they are expensive. Competitors in this range, price range, are the Sennheiser Momentum 2, I think it's called, and the Sony TWS are actually a little bit cheaper as well. And before I go any further, I know people are going to ask for comparisons with the AirPod Pros and the Sennheisers and the Sonys. Well, sorry to disappoint you, but I have not heard any of those. I have heard mainly chi-fi, sort of budget-oriented TWS, and for the most part, they do not hold up in terms of audio quality to these. These are definitely a step up from that. So that's it, folks. If you liked this video, please give it a like, Parfam audiophile style. If you want to see more reviews like this in the future, make sure you hit that subscribe button. And until next time, I'll see you later.